How's everything going, man? Mad Max Radio, Live 365, iHeartRadio. We have the JUNO Award-winning artist here, Shad, as you might know from a host, Hip-Hop Evolution on Netflix as well. Start Anew dropping this October 31st. Happy Halloween, everyone. He's giving us a brand new album here, Start Anew. Welcome to the show, Shad. How's everything going?
I'm chilling, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course, yeah, it's been a while. I remember I had you on my show back in college at St. John's. I think that was like 2018, 2019 or something. That was a while ago.
Yeah, and I see the Knicks hat in full effect. I love it.
Yeah. Are you a Raptors fan? Because you're in Canada?
Listen, man, like I want to be, but there's two issues. One, I grew up 2 hours from Toronto, actually between Toronto and Detroit, so my loyalties are a little bit split. And number two, I hate our mascot. I just can't get past it, man.
The dinosaur, the raptor.
It's actually ridiculous.
Yeah. So you more towards the Pistons then? Because you mentioned Detroit.
Yeah, so as a kid, so the Raptors came in '95, so and I was a basketball fan before that. So, I got to enjoy some great Pistons years, championships when I was a little kid.
Bad
Then the
boys.
Raptors, exactly. Then the Raptors arrived on the scene. So then my loyalties got split. But I'm just a fan of basketball. So, I just love the game. I did love those gritty Knicks teams in the '90s too. And they got that same energy again, which is nice to see with Josh Hart and everything.
Yeah, it's about time. We went
Yeah.
through a lot of suffering, so it's great to see that the Knicks are winning. Basketball it's enjoyable to watch when the Knicks are good. The league is balanced.
Listen, when the Knicks have something going on, it gives energy to the whole league.
Yeah.
Even in the dark ages, you know what I mean? Lynn Sanity
Yeah.
gave energy to the whole league because the city just gets behind the Knicks like crazy. You know what I mean? It just basketball lives there in a special way. I love going to New York City. Just when I'm there for music, it's like in the most densely populated place, people stacked on people. There's still these big, beautiful basketball courts
That's right.
in the middle of
Always.
Manhattan. It's like, why are you taking up real estate with these courts? It's because the city loves basketball. So yeah, they deserve it.
Exactly. Well, let's hope. I mean, it's unfortunate that the Knicks knocked out the Pistons this year in the playoffs, but let's see what happens this year. The Pistons can make the come. They're going to be a future team here with Cade Cunningham.
Both of those teams can challenge in the East next year with all the injuries in the East.
Hmm.
Both the Knicks and the Pistons, and frankly, the Raptors are all right too.
Yeah,
They got a solid, 5, 6. They haven't played together yet to gel, but the East is anybody's game right now.
I agree. No more Pacers. I don't want to see them anymore. I've seen enough. I can't stand them.
Man, you know what though? Like as a basketball purist, I gotta say, the way they were like kicking the ball ahead on the break, the way they share the basketball, like I don't know, man, they won me over. I didn't think I could ever cheer for the Pacers, but man, they were a good team to watch, man. They went on a run for sure.
They did. Well, let's get to the music here. I know we
Yeah.
opened up big with the basketball. Start anew. You're someone that always likes to find something new that's out there in the music world and then apply it to your music. So, what was it that you were able to discover this time around for this upcoming album that we're going to hear?
Yeah, so musically for this one, it actually felt a lot like a return home in a way, musically. Like I kind of came back to my comfort zone, in terms of my sound. I grew up, like I was talking about, in the '90s. So Lauryn Hill, Black Thought, Common, that's really formative for me. That's in my DNA. But at the same time, I love music so much. So I've spent a lot of my career, especially the last 10 years, exploring musically, trying, this sound and that sound. And that's important too. But then this feels like a full circle to a great extent in terms of just coming back to some of the sounds and the vibes that are really in my strike zone, but in an honest way, not trying to copy my old self, but really going on a journey these last few years musically and feeling satisfied and then just coming back. So musically, that's where it is. And then in terms of the ideas on the album, like so many people, I'm reflecting on our world, man. We live in some very interesting times, and so
Horrible times.
yes,
And I think even with the nod too, when I was listening to the songs that you already released, we're gonna get into them. You mentioned the Jordan Peele reference. I think we could really see through that with the Get Out movie, which is
yes.
crazy.
Listen, man, we're seeing things now that we probably never imagined we'd see, you know what I mean? Like going back 10, 15 years. So, it's all unfolding. So I'm trying to, but I'm always trying to find the hope in it. And I feel like with this album, if I had to put it in a few words, I feel like the hope is courage. I think we can be brave.
Hmm.
I think we can step up right now and be brave and step into the unknown, maybe try some things we've never tried before. But I think our hope right now is courage. Our generation, the next generation. If we can be brave, man, we can do some things.
I think so. And I commend you for really speaking out what's real and really touching on topics that a lot of people aren't speaking on right now. I know Kendrick Lamar he's been one that's really been speaking out about things, but it's really concerning when we're going through such a time and we really don't have a public enemy of the newer generation really saying anything. And you have these, and I'm just going to call them red hat rappers. I think we could really read between the lines with that one that are rallying people
Yeah,
and no, there's no opposition. There's
yeah,
barely any.
exactly. You know what I mean? And I feel like what music has the power to do, right, is touch the part of people that again makes them feel brave, makes them feel hopeful, makes them feel more compassionate. You know what I'm saying? Like, whereas these red hat rappers, they touch the anger, in a negative way. They touch they divide. You know what I'm saying? The artists that I love, the Public Enemies, even the De La Souls, like they're bringing people together, but with around positivity
Exactly.
and around trying to make the world better for the people that are hurt the most.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, like to try to make music that touches that part of people is one of my goals for sure.
Mhm. Do you think it's because people are afraid, or is it more of a situation to where the people are just going along with the flow and they don't want to lose any supporters or money?
Yeah, fear is you hit the nail on the head. I think fear, but it's fear in a lot of ways. So there's the fear of, getting Jimmy Kimmeled. Okay.
Hmm.
That's one fear. But I think another fear is just artists feel really disoriented and anxious in this landscape of attention economy. There's a flood of music. Oh man, like how can I get people's attention and keep people's attention? So it's even that kind of fear that makes them go, okay, well maybe I don't need to speak on this or speak on that because what if I get shadow banned, or what if I lose people's attention for a moment because then it's all gone. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I do think there's a lot of fear, um, and it takes mental energy and it takes discipline to really focus and to go, how can I again make something that's gonna touch the better part of people and not just kind of, I don't know, end up being a pawn in the game. It's tricky, man. It's real hard, but yeah, I do think fear is a major element. Whether that's fear of being outright banned, and I see it with artists, but then man, you see it also with even very powerful people, bro. You see billionaires bowing to the Kiss in the Ring
Hmm.
and doing whatever is asked of them, and when you see that, man, that takes away a lot of people's hope because they're like, man, if these people can't even stand up, if Disney can't stand up,
It's wild.
it's wild.
It, it is. It's definitely mind blowing, and it's worse from the first because when we talked, this was before COVID. This was the first time that we had to deal with this, and it feels way worse than what it was then.
Yeah, it's way worse because there's fewer adults in the room.
Yeah.
First time there was still a lot of adults in the room, but they get kicked out real fast. And so
Hmm.
this time those guardrails are gone.
Yeah.
And we feel it all the way up here, man. Like, I don't know if it was a big conversation where you're at, but in Canada, there was a lot of talk because there were threats of annexing Canada.
I did hear about that.
There were threats, straight up discussion coming from a head of state about annexing Canada. And we're just sitting there going, but y'all are our best friends. What happened?
Exactly.
Like 100 years of peace, actually, basically unprecedented in the modern history in terms of the relationship between our countries. and suddenly we're getting these threats of annexation and all this stuff. So we get the reverberations all the way up here, man.
That's crazy. I never would have thought about that because I remember it was like a couple days after the election happened. I interviewed a filmmaker from Canada and I said I might need a place to hide. And then everything started happening when the annex talks were really starting to happen. I was like, what the heck? It's not even
Yeah,
safe there now.
it's not even safe there now. Yeah, our prime minister is always on the plane going over to Europe, going to different places, trying to make new friends.
Hmm.
Because yeah, this talk of becoming the 51st state and all that is really unprecedented and unprovoked and alarming. You know what I mean? So we're here, but I do think the hope is the courage, man. We can stand up, we can band together
Yeah.
instead of accepting um, this kind of toxic thing that's getting modeled from the highest levels about how to behave towards people, which is just to like denigrate your enemies and that's not leadership. That's not leadership.
This is something important I haven't really touched on my show, and it's really been. I know it's been concerning for people on social media, but the amount of people that have sold out within hip hop. I know one of them you've interviewed. Why do you think they're performing for him where before their message was forget this guy? Why do you think it's a money thing to where they're getting paid behind the scenes? What?
Oh
Because
yeah, I
yeah,
think I think it's a I definitely think it's a money thing. Um, but what also happens is people get desensitized. Up becomes down,
mm,
right? People become desensitized and things become normalized. Trump's become normalized.
that's true.
It's become normalized. Like, okay, I guess this is what it is. And so we forget real quickly what leadership is supposed to look like
Exactly.
and what is actually okay behavior and what is not okay behavior and what you can and what is like sort of borderline it's okay to take a check for and what is like no.
Hmm.
So that's a slippery slope. Like there's a song on this album called Slanted that's just about that slippery slope. It's like suddenly up becomes down before you know it. You're saying yes to something that, man, you got desensitized to it and you forgot that this is absolutely abnormal. To have your own social media platform called True Social where you broadcast your message because you say no one can be trusted to tell the truth but you, that is so abnormal.
It is.
That is so abnormal, but it's become normalized.
Hmm.
You go on the news and it's like, okay, well, this is what he said from True Social. It's like, that's actually crazy.
It is.
That's straight up crazy, man. That's
It is.
straight up cult leader behavior to say you can't trust what anybody has to say but me.
Hmm. Oh, you're seeing it. You're seeing there's a lot of cults for a certain religious individual that just what happened there.
A 1,000%. So to your question, what's happened with hip hop and some of these artists, it's like there's been a normalization and a numbing and a normalization of something that is not normal.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's sad. It definitely really is sad, and
Yeah.
I think with this album, it's really going to make an impact. And what are some relationships that you've been able to really maintain with? 'Cause I know Busta Rhymes was someone that you really learned from when interviewing him with how to make a song, make good songs, make great songs. Was there any relationships you were able to maintain and stay in contact with some of these legends?
A couple. I really tried to um, separate church and state a little bit, so to speak. Just out of respect for these legends, I tried not to bring my artist self too much to the
Hmm.
conversations and to the relationships. But I've been fortunate to be able to keep in touch a little bit with Maceo from De La Soul.
Okay.
He's just a caring guy. He checks in from time to time on social media. Actually ended up having a quick chat with Kid Capri yesterday on the phone. So there's some folks that I kind of have kept in touch with. But yeah, that conversation with Busta was tremendous. I learned a lot from him, and he was just so generous about all the artists that he loved. I always tell people about the story. He talked about he used to buy four of every single tape that came out. Every single tape that came out in hip hop, he'd buy four. One for his car, one for his collection, one to listen to at his house, and one to give away. And that's how much of a hip hop fan he is.
That yeah, I've heard this, especially on the documentary too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I learned from him. I learned from a lot of people, yeah, in terms of their approach and stuff. But yeah, just a couple that I've been able to keep in touch with a little bit. Yeah.
No, that's real, and that was such an important documentary. I know when I interviewed it the first time, I deeply watched. I remember the Cool Herc. That was a huge. I mean, that's a pioneer right there. You've been able to just walk through the Bronx with him and just really analyze New York and being in the Mecca, then going out to L.A. for the last episode of that season and into further seasons. That was a huge series. Have you thought about potentially? Because I mean, there's been so much history since then. I mean,
Yeah.
if you want to call it important history, I mean, I'm not really for the gimmicky rappers that are out right now,
Yeah.
TikTok content creators and people
Yeah.
faking their streams. But do you think there's going to be a calling to get some new episodes, perhaps?
I think it's almost time. It is challenging to figure out how much is enough distance to for there to be history, right? So season 4 ended around 2005.
Hmm.
So about 20 years ago. And so there's some things I think you could definitely talk about. Like I think after 2005, you can talk about the rise of the internet, at least certain eras of it. Ringtone era, you could talk about SoundCloud era. You could, some of these moments that have kind of come and gone, and you could talk about their importance. But then there's other things that the story's still unfolding, right? Like let's say we tried to talk about Kendrick and Drake 2 years ago, it would have been way too early. Like there's still chapters. There were still chapters to be written.
Exactly.
So it's always hard to tell when is enough distance. But I do think it's coming up on time. And unfortunately in hip hop, as we know, our heroes aren't always around forever. So I think it's better to get those stories sooner than later as well. There's a lot of people we talked to in the first few seasons of Hip Hop Evolution that have since passed on.
Hmm.
So I'm really grateful we got to speak to them when we did because yeah, nothing's promised.
No, nothing is ever promised. And with this take, because I remember reading about your breakdown of the beef, and I think this was an interesting thing I took away from it was the fact of you don't like how everyone was looking from the truths, what was true in the disses back and forth. Where does that perspective come from? I want to
Yeah.
know.
Listen, it comes from growing up. Again, I was a teenager in the 90s. So for me with hip hop as a younger kid, it was battles, man. It was live battles, freestyle battles. And it was not about what was factually true.
Hmm.
It's not what it's about. It's about the audience. And it's about getting the audience excited and it's about what they like to hear. So it's really not about the truth.
Mm.
That's something you can use the truth to win a battle, but you don't have to. You don't have to. And and actually I think it's healthier to not to a great
Hmm.
extent. When it's all about exposing people's whatever this, that, and the other thing, that's actually kind of dangerous.
Hmm.
Versus if you're just talking, then you're just talking, man. No one's taking it that seriously. And so that's where that comes from for me is just growing up with battles. And it was so fun and so exciting. It still is so amazing about hip hop. I would always tell people that, when they would interview me about the beef with Kendrick and Drake, I was like, man, hip hop is so amazing. These guys are pushing in all the chips. They don't have to. Why? They're the biggest things in hip hop of their generation by far.
Hmm.
And they're like, yeah, let's risk it all. Let's both push in all our chips and let's just go nuclear. Nuclear. Nobody else is going to give you that. No other genre of music is going to give you that like level of edge of your seat, high stakes. entertainment. And then yeah, the truth is whatever, man. It's not about that.
It's not about that. Yeah. And I think there is a degree to your point.
Yeah.
And I think it really proves your point right. Was in Drake's in Kendrick Lamar's diss, he mentioned that there was a daughter there. What happened with that? You know? So there you go. It proves your point right.
It is. It's really it's much more organic than that in terms of the art the fans' relationship to the songs. You know what I mean? Like I remember being in live battles where you're just saying whatever, you know, and the crowd might get excited. The crowd, if they get excited, it's because they get excited about something. You know, the reason why people can scream A minor, for example, a stadium full of people can gleefully scream that, it's because we know Drake's not a pedophile. If he really was, you don't scream that. That's not fun. That's not a fun thing to say at all.
Hmm.
If it's truly the case. But the reason why it works is because we've watched him be the playboy, you know, certified lover boy, kind of overage bachelor. So it's funny. So it's funny. That's why it works.
Yeah.
So you can't worry about the truth. And like I said, in fact, man, the truth is dangerous. Like let's not worry too much about. Let's not, you know, go in everybody's closets and bring up these real personal things. That's where it gets a little bit dangerous and a little bit icky, you know, to listen to. Whereas you know, when guys are just pushing in all the chips and putting on a show, that's when hip hop is amazing.
Hmm. But I'm with you on it. The hip hop definitely. Is there a battle when you look at it from back in the day to where you might be not be with the popular consensus and may have been on the other side with may have won? Is there?
Ooh, that's a good question. You know, maybe Jay-Z Nas, like I just thought the takeover was just like one shot knockout.
Mm.
And by the time Ether came around, I was a little tuned out. I was a little like, man, I don't know, man. Like that first blow was just severe. It was severe. When he did that album breakdown, one hot album every 10-year average, I was just like, I don't know, man. My ears couldn't really hear too much after that. So I think I was in the minority after that, like in terms
Mm.
of that battle. Like obviously Ether's a great song and
It's become a big term.
it's become a whole term that's synonymous with just going nuclear. But that one hot album every 10-year average, like that whole breakdown, man, I really couldn't hear anything after that. Like that felt like it was over for me.
And no one ever brings up because I'm more of a Nas than a Jay-Z guy, but Super Ugly was oh my that was disrespectful. That's truth. Now that's when the truth comes in.
Yeah, and then it's hard to listen to, man. You know, I like this entertainment, you know. um, but that's probably one. You know what? And I'll say Drake and Push. Okay, Pusha brought out the truth with the kid, and so obviously he wins.
Hmm.
But I also did feel like, yeah, but he won, but he won in a way where it's like Drake can't say anything. You know what I mean? He won because Drake can't go that low.
Hmm.
Drake can't go that low.
He got pinned. He got pinned to
Yeah,
the corner.
yeah. It's like if Drake, and I think somebody even said this to Drake, was like, bro, if you go that low, like you're not gonna be, it's not gonna be the same for you. Like,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like, kids aren't gonna be able to party to your records anymore. Like, it's just you need to just. So that was almost like some kind of technical knockout scorecard thing where I'm like, yeah, you won, but that's because you're Push and you're a bully and he can't go there. He can't be that mean.
No, you can't. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's insane. It for sure is. And I mean, with your career, just you've been through a lot, you've accomplished a lot. I know with me researching you now, you've become a teacher since we last spoke. Now you're teaching at your alma mater. So, what have you learned now that you become a teacher? It's your job to teach. So, what have you learned being
Yeah.
a teacher, teaching music courses?
Yeah, you know what? I've really loved it. The things I focus on, I don't even focus on the content. I focus on building community in the classroom. One of the things I told my first class last fall, I said, my manager I still work with, I met when I was in school, like you guys. My DJ I still tour with, I met when I was in school, like you guys. I say, so look to your right and your left. These people are important. And so I try to create opportunities in the class for discussion and stuff where people can get to know each other because I forget who it was that said this, but geography is destiny. Those people beside you, man, that's who you are and that's your destiny. So that's one thing I try to do. And another thing I try to do just in terms of content is like, yes, I'm trying to give these musicians tools. Like I teach in the music school, they're musicians. I'm trying to give them tools. But what I'm really trying to do first and foremost is just teach them something interesting that's expanding their knowledge and expanding their worldview, so that who knows, in 10 years you're at a party, your wife at that you're married, your wife drags you to some party with her friends. Now you're stuck there. Okay, you're holding the wall. You're talking to one of her friends' partners, and you can talk about hip hop. You can connect on
Mhm.
something else, right? Like one of the gifts of education is it makes your world bigger. You can meet more people, you can have more conversations, you can go more places. Like it makes your world bigger. So that's my other goal is like I'm just trying to make your world bigger. I'm trying to make it so that you're going to have more relationships, more connections, more experiences. You can go to your friend invites you to a rap show. You can go. You're not going to feel intimidated. You're going to be like, I know something about this. Let me go. Now you have new experience. Now your life is better. So those are my goals, bro. Those are my goals beyond teaching about the history of hip hop, beyond teaching about how hip hop is made, and I just want them to connect with each other, and I want them to be able to connect with more people after the class.
Mhm. I love that, and you're definitely making an impact out here, and we need more people like you. And you're teaching at what, Laurier? Is that where you're teaching?
That's right. That's where I went to school, and then I taught a course as well at the University of Toronto, which was cool. Hopefully, I'll get to do that again in the future too.
Mhm. Have you thought about bringing out any guests potentially,
Yeah,
special speakers?
every once in a while, I'll open the Rolodex and I'll try to have someone come in, whether it's on Zoom or in person, and just share other perspectives because I always like that with education too. Like whatever I think or my point of view is, I'm informed, but I'm also just another person.
Hmm.
So hear from somebody else's journey, somebody else's story, somebody else's perspective is always positive. Yeah.
Hmm. That's amazing. So how are you kind of looking to expand from there? Maybe with a potential book. What are some things you're looking to really add to what you have with the teaching courses?
You know, I kind of like where things are at with that. I'm not sure if I'm ready yet to gather my thoughts in any kind of book yet, but maybe someday.
Hmm.
Um, maybe someday I will really feel like gathering my memories.
Hmm.
At this point, I'm kind of happy to just like live, and I don't have the best sense of my own story. Even I haven't stopped to really collect that, but I think that hits people at different times, and so I could see that happening at a certain point where it suddenly hits me to go, you know what, let me do some recollecting, let me talk to some people and get their sense of the story too, and maybe share something in the form of a book. But I'm still happy to just create music, and increasingly just feeling like I have a lot to bring in terms of teaching,
Hmm.
so that's where I'm at.
Your passions of being a mentor now, do they still have at your university the contest to where you got to win and get the money to record?
No, no, the game has changed, so that no longer exists. At that time, it was really that was like a vital thing if you wanted to get out there, right? Because there weren't home studios so much yet, or software that you can get on your phone or your laptop where you could create. So we needed an unsigned talent competition where you could get a chunk of money to go into a real studio. Now you don't need that quite as much. You still need mentorship. You still need opportunities to be heard. But now a kid that's motivated has made 10 mixtapes by the time they're 15. That was just not possible when I was a kid.
No, everything's you could do it in your bedroom now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It definitely is crazy how everything has changed, and your dedication. You went back to school too before the second album. I mean, when you're releasing the second one to finish the degree in business, right?
That's right. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, education to me is like a privilege, and I was busy with music, so it was very part time. But yeah, just to be able to continue to learn, was great.
Hmm.
Yeah,
How did you end up? Because I know you did the CBC Canada reads.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So what book
yeah.
was this
Yeah,
that you?
yeah, that was cool. So that's CBC is National Public Radio in Canada.
Mhm.
It's like the equivalent of the BBC for us, and this is an annual competition they do where they have five Canadians defending a book. Basically in a book debate, book battle. You know, so that was it was familiar for me. I'm like, this is there was people that when they announced that I was in it, didn't think I would do well as a rapper in this kind of intellectual space debating books. But for me, I'm like, man, I come from battling, bro. Like this is easy. This is like so that was great. Yeah, that was great. The book I defended was actually by a woman who lived in my neighborhood,
Mm.
as it turned out. She wrote an amazing book about her experiences in the revolution in Chile.
Wow.
Yeah, as a young woman. And so she wrote her memoir of that experience, and I just thought it was amazing. And I thought it was amazing also that this was just somebody in my neighborhood. Like these are the stories we all have. People walking all around us have these kind of stories. You know what I mean? So I defended it on that basis to a great extent, just saying like this is the kind of book that makes you remember to to stop a second and talk to people, because these are the people all around us carry these kinds of stories. We can learn about the world through each other if we are just a little bit more curious
Hmm.
about one another. So that was a great experience. Yeah.
No, it definitely was, and we need more book. I don't know if there's gonna be more book competitions now that we're banning them everywhere now, but I think I don't know. I don't know what's gonna be safe anymore. I don't know. Maybe Cat in the Hat. I don't know. I mean, maybe that'll be the only one. They're definitely getting rid of fair. They're getting rid of Fahrenheit 451. You know that's gonna be gone.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's gonna be gone. I mean, listen, comedy, satire, anything is telling the truth. Anything that reminds people, again, like we were talking about earlier, the normalization, anything that stops that normalizing, anything that says, no, 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 this is not normal. Here's examples from history. Here's a joke to bring the truth to light. All of that is in the crosshairs
Hmm.
moment.
It definitely is. And do you think there's been a normalization of, because it really is affecting the game overall in film, music, television, whatever it is, and even with Netflix, it's all numbers game. Because before, when you started with the documentary with Hip Hop Evolution, it was that you guys were performing well. There wasn't much as a numbers based analytic system that there is now. But do you think that the industry has become too desensitized to everything's a numbers game? Because it's a problem for artists to where we're not looking for the next pun, the next biggie, the next Black Thought. We're looking for what's the next gimmick. As long as they have a million followers, they could be fake. We want you.
That's it. It's so subtle, right? So again, when I started 20 years ago, but not even that far back, um, you didn't look at sales numbers beside an album.
Hmm.
You heard from your friends that it was good, or you know, or a reviewer that you trusted said that it was good, and then you picked it up. You didn't walk into the record store and they put the exact sales numbers beside each album. But that's what happens on a streaming service. You you see it beside each thing.
Yeah.
like a weird score. And in fact, man, we were suspect of stuff that sold too much. From a real hip hop standpoint, it was like, oh, that's selling like crazy. So is it actually good? You know? And now it's the opposite. You look at the numbers beside the thing. The numbers are always right beside the thing. I don't know. It just happens so subtly. So, you know, it doesn't have to be that way. Um, and again, that's where I feel like we got to have the courage to do something different. And
Hmm.
we don't we don't want it that way. We don't need. There's an episode of Black Mirror where people have a score underneath themselves, like a Uber rating, but for everybody walking around, and it's fiction, it's dystopian, but that is already what music is.
Hmm.
You have that total right beside, it's strange. It's strange.
It definitely is. The world is a Black Mirror episode. I always say, because people always ask me, "Oh, what do you?" I know we mentioned Halloween. That's when the album's dropping. I always thought The Exorcist was the scariest movie, but no, I think it's 1984. I think it's 1984. We're living in it now.
That's it, man. It really is. And that yeah, man, that flipping things upside down, that telling people that up is down right in front of their face, man. It's real. We got to be strong. We got to have some courage, and we got to keep reminding ourselves that up is up and down is down.
Exactly. It's just the whole society is turned upside down, and it's scary. It really is. It's that there's very few people that are speaking out, but you're one of them, and we're thankful for it. You've been doing this since the start of your career, especially with this new album, and we can even get to the new singles that you have out right now. So, how about we start with the first one here with Bars and Barbecues?
Yeah, yeah. So like I said, for me it's about touching the better part of people, which includes making people laugh, making people smile. I like there's wordplay in that song and it's a style I like to do where, you're talking slick and you're making people feel good and feel relaxed, and so that's what Bars of Barbecues is. It's just that lyrical kind of exercise, having fun with it, having fun with words. Um, I'm always sliding in little things. So, I'm talking about bars, like rapping bars, but towards the end, I'm like, there's also bars like prison bars. This is still a thing we're dealing with, and barbecue, man. We love delicious food, but also, man, there's a dimension to that where we can become addicted to some of these unhealthy things. And anyhow, so I'm going in different directions, but it's a laid back song. When we decided the album would come out in the fall, the first single will come out in the summer. I'm like, well, this is a summer song, you know what I mean, and it's gonna make people feel good. It's something they can come together around. And then the other songs to come out are one's called Islands,
Mm.
and Islands is a similar kind of feeling. I wanted to make something that feels good, feels makes you feel a level of peace. You know what I mean? It's kind of meditative, and it's about it was inspired by this concept called Islands of Sanity. That's basically about in hard times like the ones that we live in, communities of people that support each other and are creative and and try different things. You know, um, so I was inspired by that concept and just wanted to make something again that feels good. And the other one is called Kiss, Keep It Simple, Stupid. That is, again, a song I think hopefully musically it feels good, but it's talking about not taking yourself too seriously.
Hmm.
Give your 2 cents, keep it moving. Don't take yourself too seriously. Take your work seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously. Yeah, let's do our job and keep it moving.
It's important to my personal favorite out of the three was Islands, and I think it was interesting how you opened up the song with basically you have to take care of the small things before you can dream big. So what was the hidden meaning really behind this?
Yeah, that's it. Like I said, it's inspired by this concept, Islands of Sanity.
Hmm.
It's about people that are doing something not on a big scale. You might never hear about them. Just in a small community of people that they take care of each other, they're creative, they're committed, It's not changing the whole world. It's not front page news. It's just what they can care for, they care for. And what they can do, they do. And so yeah, so I start the song with that, can't do all things. Don't dream big till you handle small things.
Hmm.
You know? There's another line I like in there where I talk about don't point fingers if the fingers got gold
Gold
rings
rings.
out of your hands. Focus on what you're holding. Focus on what you're holding. So I feel like that's a hopeful way forward because it can feel very overwhelming. It can all feel very overwhelming, but if we can focus on what we're holding, all right, now we
Yeah.
got to start, you know?
Look at this. So this is a true poet right here. This is a Juno Award-winning artist for a reason, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, it's what you got here. What other things do you address on this album that you can kind of give a sneak peek into? Because
Yeah.
you mentioned other topics that we spoke about earlier, but what are some other things? Because I feel like this is going to be a heavy album.
Yeah. Yeah. The other topics I'm trying to think, like they all revolve around the same things, actually. It's that similar theme of let's do what we can. Let's not get overwhelmed. Let's be brave. Let's be hopeful. Let's do what we can. There's another song called Rain. And the chorus goes, don't need to reign like a royal. We just need rain on the soil.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Again, that thing of let's not take ourselves too seriously. Let's take our work seriously. Let's, don't need to reign like a royal. We just need rain on the soil. We just need to nourish the earth, man. We just need to contribute something, you know? So that's kind of the vibe. That's a lot of the message. That's a lot of the vibe, a lot of the messages.
Mhm. With Start Anew, what's the hidden meaning behind the title? I know we spoke about
Yeah.
because you always like to bring something new to music. You've always done this, but
Yeah.
does this feel like a new beginning? What is this, the hidden
Yeah.
meaning?
Yeah. You know what? When I was writing the songs, I was reflecting a lot on endings, actually.
Mm,
And there's a phrase I say on a lot on the album that's fear of death. I say it a lot on the album. There's the last song is called Fear of Death. I was thinking a lot about endings. And but then when I was done the album, I realized, you know what? First of all, I don't want to call it Fear of Death. Who wants to listen to that? But then also I was thinking like what I'm really talking about is the beginning that happens right after the ending. And the fact that you got to go through the ending sometimes to get to the beginning. Again, you have to have the courage to say, okay, I think I've reached the logical end of something. So I got to step into the unknown. I can't cling to it. I can't cling to this thing. It's ending, you know,
mhm.
like so many things in nature, so many things in life. Um, so that's really the meaning. That's really the meaning is that there's a new beginning after every ending. And so let's step bravely into that new beginning.
What would you say is the ending that has went on in your life to where you feel this is a new beginning?
Well, I was thinking a lot about our world,
Hmm.
and so many things aren't working. They feel like that's it. That's the end of that. Like we got to stop that.
Hmm.
So I was thinking a lot on that level, but I think on a more personal level, it works as well. Whether that's a relationship, that wasn't really so much the case for me, but whether that's a relationship or whether that is even work, you know, working in music, working in hip hop, it's like you never really know when the end is.
True.
And we're talking about fear, and I think if you want to really do your job as an artist, you can't be afraid of the end. You can't be afraid of if your time is up or if audiences are don't feel what you have to say. You have to be prepared to face that if that is what it comes to. So even on the artist level, on the career level, if we really want to do our job well and serve the people with what we're doing, we have to embrace that
Hmm.
potential end, um, and believe that even if that is the end, there's a new beginning afterwards, or there's something else, or the way I always put it with music is the new beginning is always whoever you inspire. If your time is done, your time is going to be done at some point anyways. All I can hope for as an artist is that I inspired somebody else that's going to create
Mhm.
the same way someone inspired me, and they may be gone, and then I made things, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I was thinking about it on that level as well. As an artist, I feel like I always gotta. I think I say on the album, there's a line I say. What do I say? I say, I gotta lead by example, far as handling the fear. Over the years, though, it do take a toll. It makes you want to skip taking the risks and take control. You know, but it's like no, like that can't be what we do. We gotta take risks as artists. We gotta step out there. We gotta model vulnerability and courage.
Mhm. Oh, I
Yeah.
agree with you, especially during these times. You got to use your voice. You can't just sit back and do nothing. You can't.
That's
Especially and especially, please, we cannot be sellouts because we've seen a lot of it. We've seen it, and it's upsetting because a lot of my people I looked up to disappointed me,
yeah.
especially ones that danced for this guy and performed for this guy. It's
That's
crazy.
that's right. That's right. No, we gotta be more brave than that for sure.
No, it's definitely heartbreaking and it's unbelievable because you've been thinking about death, and I know this is crazy, but I know people have really, and I would vote for you in a minute. I know if you want to get into politics, but I've heard you break it down. You don't want to get into it because it's just more years of fighting. And I really understood that because when you're in this space, you're fighting for your opinion, you're fighting for your voice, you're fighting for what you believe in, even though you're in a corporate structure. You're still fighting. Corporate breaks you down. Even people that work at regular 9 to 5s, they're breaking you down because they're putting a name tag around you. They're making you dress a certain way. That's breaking you down. No one really has a voice.
That's it. It's real. It's very, very, it's very challenging. That's why I feel like really makes it extra sad when artists don't stand up
Hmm.
because if anybody can, we can. So if we don't, how does that make somebody with the name tag feel?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's what we have to give, man. That's our function. But yeah, politics, that's a whole other level of a fight.
Yeah.
A whole other level of a fight. I really admire the people that step into that space because you know what, and maybe that's a thing we got to do a little bit of a better job of too is kind of honoring those people that step into that space, even if they don't do it perfectly, as long as they're doing it, really in good faith and trying to represent the people's interests because I don't want to do it.
No, I don't blame you. And you know what I think is too? I think you're too real for it.
Yeah,
You speak the truth. A lot of times they have hidden agendas and they don't. They may be saying things and they got the fingers crossed behind the back. They say things they don't deliver on.
that's it. And you know what, and they face the fear too of they're trying to get elected again,
Hmm.
so they got to think about that and think about the donors and so on.
Hmm. And the fear of death, unfortunately. I mean,
Exactly. Yeah,
that's
yeah,
another thing.
yeah. At this point, yep.
It's
This
crazy.
At this point, all bets are off. So
It is.
yeah.
It's unbelievable because we're mentioning so much about the afterlife and just fear of death. So who's an artist that you would love to interview that's passed on that you didn't get to interview with for Hip Hop Evolution if you could? Even
Ooh.
if you brought like a medium in, I think that would be crazy. I mean, that's like out of the box. And who would you want to work with on a record that's passed away? Who's someone that really speaks to you
Man,
for a record and one you'd love to interview?
man. So okay, in terms of interview, got to go with Pac.
Hmm, deep.
He was just like so brilliant, so young, so complicated. Everybody's still guessing at, so many things about his life, not to mention guessing about what his life could have become because he was just so gifted. And and his family history as well, just kind of like the way that he was raised, Black Panther mother, moved all around the country as well. Saw so many different places,
Hmm.
connected to so many different places, felt at home so many different places. So Pac definitely on the interview level, and then in terms of working with, I don't know why this is the first person to come to mind. He's not from within hip hop, but Quincy Jones,
Mm.
the late great Quincy Jones, man,
He just passed away
just
recently.
passed away
Hmm.
recently. He's really seen it all. He's really seen it all in music, and I just think he'd be interesting to just sit in the studio with and get his ear on things and get his opinion on things and just hear his stories. You know what I mean? Would be pretty amazing.
It would be. He had a lot of stories to tell. Marlon Brando, the JFK thing. You've heard it all from him.
Well, I remember there was a time he did a couple interviews and then they kind of had to shut him down because he was saying too much.
Ooh.
It was amazing. No, it was amazing. They were some of the best interviews I've ever read in music because he didn't care, man.
No.
He's like, I'm Quincy Jones, A. B, I'm like 89. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, I'm just gonna tell you, you know, so unfiltered. It was incredible. But he saw them all, yeah, from Marlon Brando, Frank Sinatra
Hmm.
to Michael Jackson, Herbie Hancock, you name it, he was like around for it. There were some names he dropped. I was like, man, you around for that? Like,
Hmm.
I didn't even know you were that old. Like, you are like a walking museum.
He definitely was. I'd love to see what that creation of the song Thriller was like because I mean adding Vincent Price to the vocals of that is crazy.
Crazy. Crazy. I mean, you can just tell they were out with every single song. They were trying to set the world on fire,
Hmm.
make literally the greatest thing anyone's ever heard. Like every song. They would go out and book every studio in LA just to invent a new snare sound for a song
Hmm.
that would be instantly recognizable that no one's ever heard before. I mean, they were on one, man.
They were. Thriller is the Illmatic of pop music for sure.
1,000%, 1,000%. Like even the way they brought everybody in, the way Illmatic, had all the best producers. It's like Thriller, they brought in, you name it, all the heavy hitter studio musicians, producers, writers, everyone was in there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they really are kind of a reflection of each other when you look at it. It's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now when we look at your discography, where does this album gonna stand for you?
Yeah. For me, it feels like I really see it connected to the last two albums I made. Not exactly a trilogy, but it feels to me like the third chapter, final chapter in that, a little bit of a story in terms of just reflecting on our world. My first few albums felt like they were me telling my story
Hmm.
in the very hip hop kind of way that young artists do. Talk about who you are, where you're from. Put some stakes in the ground for yourself and your community. And then the last three albums, ending with this one, feel like they're reflections on our world a little bit more. Still coming from me and my perspective, but a little bit more focused on us as opposed to just me.
Hmm.
Yeah.
No, I love that. And I remember because I think we did our interview, Short Story About War. That
Yeah.
was the one that we did. So that was the first chapter then.
To me, that would be like the first, exactly. That'd be
Hmm.
like the first chapter, and what I realized I was reflecting on a lot with that was fear. And
Hmm.
this one feels like it's ultimately about courage. So yeah, feels like a bit of a journey, but it feels like the end of that journey, and we'll see what's next.
Hmm. And you're with Secret City? Is that
Yeah,
the label?
yeah, Secret City, yeah, label in Montreal.
Wow. You see, you got the label deal right there. So it's
Yeah, yeah, it's nice. They've been great to work with. I've worked with them.
amazing.
Short story about a war, so
Hmm.
it's been a number of years now.
Yeah. No, that's big. You got the bond there. How about for touring? Are you planning a tour? I don't know about the US. Is that where I
Yeah,
mean New York, hey, the hip hop fans love you regardless. So you could come to New York. LA, I know there's some issue with the ice thing. So are you planning to come to the US? I mean, it's scary
I
times.
I do want to, but I just have to make sure all the visa stuff is on point.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know
yeah.
what you mean.
Got to cross all the. I mean, I always do, but you got to be just extra careful. Cross all the T's, dot all the I's. But if I can get that in place, yeah, I'd love to come back to New York. Yeah,
Yeah, we love you out in New York
yeah,
for sure, especially what you've done with your music and hip hop evolution, showing love. You're much appreciated out here. I could tell you that.
dope, dope. Thank you,
Yeah. Shad, is there anything else you want to let your fans know? Anything else that we didn't talk about here tonight that you want to let the people know about?
man. We covered the whole journey, man. This has been great. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Shad, and I have much respect for what you do. I love that you stand on business. I know that's what a lot of the new generation says, but I think that's an important phrase, stand on business, and that's what we need more people to do.
Absolutely. Contribute what we have to contribute. Stay focused on that. Don't get too distracted or discouraged, but just focus on giving what you have to give, sharing your message. It's more important than ever.
It is, and hopefully we see our basketball teams really rise. It's it because you know what's crazy. We speak about desensitized. It's crazy how many athletes spoke out the first time, and
Yeah,
then now going to the White House to visit this guy. Mookie Betts comes to mind. There's a couple others, and it's
yeah,
really crazy.
yeah, yeah. I think, yeah, we got to keep the energy up somehow.
Mhm.
And especially with these max contracts, it's like you got enough money, man. You don't need to bow to anybody now.
No, it's crazy. It's crazy, and I think that's why I love the NBA because
Yeah,
the NBA really has it stood on business as
yeah,
far as the players, the coaches,
yeah,
the NFL. They really lost its way. I can't.
yeah. Big time. I do.
Ever since Kaepernick, the NFL's lost its way, big time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, the NBA. The players have a lot of power. There's coaches that have a lot of courage and have set a tone. Your
Hmm.
Steve Kerr's, your Popovich's. They've set a tone in terms of their independence and leadership.
Hmm.
I could get into the whole history of basketball, but like there are certain coaching trees. And long story short, people really learned how to lead and
Hmm.
care about leadership. And um, and leadership means standing up and saying some things that need to be said and not letting up become down and vice
Hmm.
and so some of those coaches, Popovich, Steve Kerr, they've set that tone.
Hmm.
um, and then the players, as well. LeBron, much more outspoken than some of his predecessors in terms of like great basketball players. i'm
Oh,
I'm still a Jordan guy, like from a pure basketball standpoint, but
I knew you were going there. I
but
knew you were going
but
there.
still respect to LeBron for leadership. For
Yeah, I think Kobe had leadership too, as far he was more outspoken. Jordan, I mean, I don't know what he just never spoke. Then I hear these things about, I'm sure you've heard the story about Chameleon Air and Noriega hearing at a party, at a Def Jam party, F rap. And I
yeah.
guess him and Tupac got in a fight back in the day too.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
wow.
And yeah, Tupac said, "How come you're in the suburbs with white kids playing basketball, but you won't come down to the inner cities?" And I guess Jordan, I don't know how true this is, but Jordan called him a thug, apparently. I've read this online, which is crazy. I don't know if it's true. I've read it online, but I'm just like, I don't get it because with Jordan, so many people die. So many people in the inner cities love Michael Jordan. They die for his sneakers.
Yes, yes.
And it's just, he's not outspoken.
Yeah, no, he's not. He didn't take that up. Um, he didn't take that up. Whereas even the generation before that did. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar,
Hmm.
Russell, they really felt a strong sense of like, okay, like being able to play this game is giving me a platform. But it's about more than just me.
Hmm.
It's about a lot more than just me. And but then yeah, 80s. Part of what I put it down to is also just kind of like that era in culture. 80s and to some extent the 90s too was like just a lot more uh, Wall Street capitalism. It was a lot more that era culture.
Hmm.
So maybe that's part of it. But yeah, LeBron has helped swing it back to players being outspoken and using the freedom and the platform that they have as basketball players, as multi-millionaires, even billionaires, to speak freely. Um, so uh, so yeah, I do love the NBA for that. They've definitely done a better job than the NFL, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, NFL's I'm over them. It's too much. It's too much. I always thought baseball was the worst, but the NFL's took the top seating for sure.
Big time, big time.
It's unbelievable. And even with the sneakers, I respect because I'm a Knicks fan. I love Patrick Ewing sneakers because he was independent. He has his own, and it's black owned. I think that's so important for Patrick Ewing's company.
Yeah, yeah. And when you look back on it, Patrick Ewing, Marbury
Hmm.
with the cheap shoes.
Yeah, the Starburys. And Michael Jordan used to mock Starbury at the Knicks games with that. So there you go.
So there you go. I think time will shine a light on those legacies. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
On your Ewings and your Starburys, and that will become part of the story as well. I think as time.
Absolutely. I absolutely. Have you met, did you have any interaction with Maestro at all out in Canada? I know that was like
Yeah.
the first big Canada rapper.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Maestro. That's our godfather.
Hmm.
Yeah. I've connected with him. We haven't like filmed anything for like the history of hip hop in Canada or anything close to that. But there was a time he drove me around Toronto actually, just and just showed me the spots, the old spots.
Wow. We need a documentary of Canada. Right? I know everyone thinks of Drake. I know, I prefer Shad. It's true. I prefer Shad. Hey, he's has a lot of accomplishments. He's outspoken.
Thank you.
He doesn't make songs called Triumph Tower, Trump Tower, whatever. He- and I think that's what's so important about you is that when I think of Canada rap, I think of you first and foremost.
Cool, cool.
Mhm.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
we got our history here. Those are Maestro. Yeah, it's one of our OGs. Like Cardinal, Chaos. There's some names I could throw out that are OGs for us. But that's a story to tell for sure. That might be coming next. Who-
Yeah, like a part, even like a separate series from Hip Hop Evolution, or maybe a part of it, international. I
That,
think maybe it's time. I think the States, we could put that to rest. I think it's time to head international now, especially during these times.
yeah, it'd be a cool story. It'd be a cool story to tell for sure.
It would be. It definitely would. But Shad, man, it really has been a pleasure to reconnect and get you back on the show. Thank you to everyone at Cosign, especially Sean. That's my guy right there, Wiggs. Your management for connecting as well, getting this back together. And, thank you for all that you do. I got the 3 new singles in my rotation, and
No,
I'll be looking forward to this album drop on Halloween.
no.
And, you're always welcome back on the show, man. Anytime you have something new to promote, you're always going to you always have a spot here.
Thank you. Let's chat again. I mean, even if I don't have something out, when it's Raptors Knicks play in the playoffs, I'll hop.
Let's Let's do it. Yeah,
Uh,
let's do it, man. Shad, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for everything that you do. And they can follow you on Instagram at Shad K Music.
correct.
Is that's the same on Twitter too, right? X.
Exactly. Yep.
Mhm.
Shad K Music. That's where I'm
Mhm.
at.
Do you have Blue Sky? I know that's another one.
Not so much on Blue Sky, but yeah, Instagram, Twitter. That's where you find me at.
Okay, there you go. Shad, thank you again, man. Take care. I look forward to seeing everything you got on the way, man.
Thanks a lot.
All right, Shad, take care.
Peace, brother.
Peace out, man.